It's Saturday, the 9th of June, 2021. Welcome to the Match Reaction Show on the Seasiders podcast. This week, we're reacting to a Blackpool win in the FA Cup over West Brom. The first victory since 1976 against top-flight opposition, according to the commentator. And I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast Match Reaction Show. Blackpool 3, West Brom 2 on pens.
Small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Well. What have we just watched? Pure drama at Bloomfield Road. Welcome to everyone on the stream. Thanks for joining us on the Match Reaction Show. We just said on the intro, Blackpool 3, West Brom 2 on penalties, and this has been a mad rush to get this up and running. Camera's not working, board's not working, cable's not plugged in, but we just about made it on time. Welcome everybody to the stream. Welcome on the podcast if you're listening on the audio, and welcome Nick first. Well, what can we say about that?
What we can say is bollocks to dry January. Because that's gone right out of the window on the back of that.
Do you know, Nick? I was exactly the same. I've just been drinking tea.
Yeah.
Your emotions and your nerves after watching that, it drives you to drink, doesn't it?
Well, Faye actually bought some. It's called No Secco for herself. It's alcohol-free prosecco, and it just tastes like apple. It tastes like apple ties. So I just said I'm not drinking any more of that. And there's a good reason to celebrate, isn't there? I mean, talk about going through the emotions. It was a roller coaster afternoon, to coin the tired old cliche.
What was it called again? No Secco. I quite like that. But point. It sounds like an equally pointless drink, like non-alcoholic lager. Tim, over to you now.
Yeah.
Oh God, I bet that was so exciting. You even woke up.
I know. I will. No doubt we'll talk about that in due course. But
don't worry, we will. Don't worry, we will. Sure, we will, won't we, Sam? Anyway, sorry, Tim. Go on.
Actually, sticking with the non-alcoholic drinks. Somebody who I know we used to go to uni with, who has given up drinking. Somebody bought her a no-alcoholic gin, as in a bottle of gin with no alcohol in it.
Isn't that just called like fizzy pop? Like
Why?
lemonade?
Why? Anyway, so that I digress. My heart's still going actually from that. It was because I was trying to get set up here before the pen started, then rush back in the front room to watch them, and of course, I know we're going to discuss it, but Kai misses, and then that almost makes it better, doesn't it? It makes it better. It's wow. It
was so exciting that even Eddie stopped playing on Roblox. Eddie Stebbins stopped playing Roblox and came and joined me on the floor as I was praying. With
the young fans, actually, John, that's exactly the type of thing that gets them hooked, isn't it?
It is.
Something that they'll remember, and it was a very memorable Saturday afternoon.
Do you know what he said to me after it all? He said, "Daddy, that was so stressful." Oh dear, stressful indeed, Sam. How did your nerves cope with that?
It didn't, to be fair. I was nervous because just thought Maxwell. We've seen Walker do so well with penalties in the last two games, and you think he's not the biggest keepers, is he? So you panicked, but I don't actually know what to say. I was just so proud of the lads to put in a performance like they did today against a Premier League side with some players there to prove a point. So I'm absolutely delighted, and my heart's not stopped racing. Really, it's just I think we deserved it, to be fair.
Who's got Apple Watch? Who's got an Apple Watch? Just out of interest.
No,
I peaked at 132 beats per minute.
I wonder what you're doing just before the pod. Jeez.
Yeah, that was running. Maybe that was on our walk today, Tim. Probably was. I think it's about 100. We better not go on about the.
No, less said the better.
But we've been on a very long walk today, socially distanced, of course. And Sam, just before we start talking about the match itself, it did for your dad a bit, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, maybe the first half wasn't entertaining enough for him. I wish we could get the picture up on the stream, but just sat there.
Go, get it, yeah, get it.
I'll try and upload it to the laptop, and I'll have it on the overlay.
Stick it on an overlay.
Let's not bother.
Give me 2 minutes.
And I downloaded an appropriate sound effect for that, so I'll just save that, and as we talk about the match, I'll slyly put that in there. But we'll leave that as a little treat for the listeners, shall we? Oh, but God. Thanks, Ben, for the comment, by the way. Just seen that Sam's jammed up on the board. Right. Let's go through this match chronologically from front to back, as I have not even shared the screen yet. Apologies, listeners, if this isn't as semi-slick as it normally is, but this has been an absolute mad rush to get this all up and running. Right, there we go. So share that one. There we go. Right. Hell was that? Someone didn't like that lineup. Someone kidnapped a small child. Someone come from my house.
No, mine.
Wasn't ours.
That's weird. Tim, have you any young kids have you that you've not told Sam and your missus about?
It's a ghost. We've been talking about having a ghost at our house, actually, and it could be. It's getting a bit spooky.
Digress. Right. Viewers, the lineups were as follows: Chris Maxwell, Ollie Turton, Dan Bollard. The Viking, Husband, Dougal, Ward, Kemp, Labala, Medine, and Yates. Sam, let's come to you first on this team lineup. Happy with it?
Yeah, very happy. I think we wanted to go to the 4-4-2 again and try and get at this West Brom team that have only won 2 in 19 games. So for me, it was good. And Tom, if he's listening, he wanted Gretson and Ballard to play at the back and see if they can put a partnership together, which I think they did until they got separated. The second half, was it, or extra time? But no, really pleased. Great to give Bez Labala a chance as well. I think he's only been given 10-15 minutes here, but overall, happy with what Critchley chose today.
He did all right today. I thought he did himself very well. Nick, over to you. Obviously, Gretson coming back into the team there, but unfortunately had quite a bad injury towards the end of the game. So unfortunate for the Viking.
Yeah, because he's always done well, hasn't he? Since he's come in whenever he's played, he could probably, feel that it was a bit harsh for him to not be involved. And the last couple of games, I think he's not let us down at all, and it's a shame. Yeah, if it is a hamstring, that could well be a couple of months, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever. So, but overall, I probably agree with Sam. I like the look of the lineup: 4-4-2, Yates and Medine, Ward and Dougal, and 2 good centre halves, and Chris Maxwell back in. So the spine of the team was good overall. Yeah, I wondered maybe whether Kemp would keep his place. But I thought, would he maybe give Woodburn a go? It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. They said they're going to make a decision on him, didn't they? So I thought today might have been maybe a last chance for him to prove himself. Perhaps that gives an indication that maybe he'll be going back. But overall, yeah, I thought it was a strong lineup and hadn't realised that they'd only won 2 in 19. So, yeah, overall, very strong lineup.
I didn't realise that either, so thanks for the stats.
If you watched the Friday night preview show, you would have known that, to be fair.
I listened to it, but I was struggling to make out the odd word here and there, but that's another story. Tim, over to you then. 4-4-2. Good to see he's not messing about with it, and Labala chosen ahead of Woodburn. Or Wadburn, as it says there.
Yeah, I mean, I would have probably said the only sort of slightly controversial selections might be Husband at left back, but I think we're probably guessing Garbutt's injured, isn't he? Or having to, they always self-isolate because obviously there's apparently isn't the 2 Blackpool players, we don't know who they are who've got to isolate, and then, yeah. Well, no, I thought it would probably injure, but if you had, I'm saying somewhere along the line, we know there's a couple of players who've got to isolate as well, haven't we? And then Labala, who probably he's the one where you're thinking, do you give him the shirt or not? And I've not been overly impressed with him prior to today, and we'll obviously come to his performance later on. But they're probably the only two where I'm not saying I wouldn't have picked them. I'm just saying they're the ones that probably didn't pick themselves. And obviously we saw Ekpiteta drop for the first time, didn't we? But so that's perhaps worthy of comment. Maybe, you know, at the end of the day, we've spoken about maybe wanting to see what Gretterson and Ballard can do, and Ekpiteta has played a hell of a lot of football as well. So whilst obviously he's been an extremely reliable player for us, I can understand why Critchley perhaps saw this as an opportunity to give him a rest and just really just to let the other two play together. Because obviously we don't know what's going to happen in the second half of the season, who's going to be fit, who, you know, we've got Ballard now for the rest of the season, which is fantastic news. So yeah, I was happy with when I saw it. I was happy with what I saw. I could see why he's picked the team, and as you say, 4-4-2, which is what with the players we've got is what we want to see.
It works for us,
and did it work for us? So yeah,
I mean, the fact we've got Yates and Maydean, they're just playing off each other, aren't they, up front? And it makes such a hell of a difference if you can do little knock-ons and pass it to your striker Nick. And Gary Maydean, we just mentioned there, he had a quite strong start to the game, as did Blackpool, if you remember that chance when he had his back to goal, took it on his chest, swiveled and smashed one, all right, went over. But it's good to see his confidence up to trying to pull something like that off in the start of the game.
Yeah, it's what he's capable of doing. It's one of his strong points, back to goal, holds the ball up well, turns and fires a shot. And he's done that a couple of times this season and been unlucky. So, yeah, good to see him on the front foot, and it was a decent effort.
And we had another chance on 22 minutes. Sam, let's come to you on this one. The commentator was saying, it was a very good chance for Dan Ballard, kind of sort of insinuating he should have put it away. It was when he had his back to goal, spun and hooked it. It was a quarter chance for me. It wasn't easy by any.
I think it's a good chance because I believe Yates was just dropped off. The ball's gone towards the far post, and Yates has dropped off towards the penalty spot, if I remember rightly. And he's calling for it.
Sam, you've gone. Your audio's gone.
No.
Very crackly. I think we need to get in one of these new blue icicles. I'll spend some more Patreon money. That's better. There you are.
No, yeah. Yeah,
you've gone all deep voice.
No, you've got into LA mode. You've got into LA
porn star mode.
Right, you sort that out.
Blame your mic, John.
Tim, what did you think of that chance?
Like you say, it wasn't really a chance, was it? It was, you know, if he'd scored from that position, it would have been spectacular. So, you know, I've got to say, I thought the commentator was being a bit optimistic if he thought that was a chance. Just going back to what you said about Maydean, I thought I don't know how old the back line was for the Baggies, but Maydean seemed to be bullying them quite a bit, and which was good to see. You know, he was showing his experience. He was winning everything. I don't think they quite knew how to deal with him, and they were perhaps just backing off. And that perhaps he was able that meant he could, you know, win that first ball, play people in. And he's probably the most mobile I've seen Maydean all season, I think. I think he's probably with a run of games. He might be a little bit like Charlie used to be. If Charlie had a few games out or wasn't starting or was rested, he'd come back and he'd take one or two games to get into the flow again. And maybe Maydean, he's quite a big lad, isn't he? Maybe Maydean's a bit the same. You know, he needs a lot of match time to get match fitness. But I thought, you know, I thought he looked, sometimes you see him huffing and puffing, don't you, after 60, 70 minutes? But what a shift he put in today.
I mean, Nick, if you read that comment on the screen there from Gareth Horrocks, so someone always calls me in the middle of this. Nick, Gareth Horrocks said, first off, Maydean won everything and provided an outside for bringing others. I mean, that's why he's in the team, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It links other players in, particularly Jerry Yates. It gives us a focal point, something to aim for. Yeah, it can be direct at times, but it's effective, and he's absolutely key to us. Without him, we're just not the same team. So, yeah, he did very, very well for me.
So let's move on to the goal. Sam, you back with us?
Testing 1, 2. We okay?
Oh, beautiful audio. It's weird, isn't it? Why does it do the porn star? Have you got a porn star filter on there, like a?
Unless you put something on this blue icicle thing, John, I don't know.
That's for later on tonight, that is.
I hacked it in there for comedy effect. Tim and Nick will get the treatment next. Quick comment coming in from Mark Chamberlain there. Is that your shirt you wore when you won the 500 pitch on the penalty, John? Penalties are quite relevant, so they'll put this. No, it isn't, Mark. The actual shirt I wore when I won that £500 was Luke Varney's. And I kept it on in the second half, thinking, yes, I've got Luke Varney's shirt. And the Sky men collared me. They said, you've got to give it back or the kit man will get fined. So I could have kept it, but I thought I felt tight, so I thought I'll give it back. In the side there, but
it should be in the football museum, that shouldn't it?
It should.
Iconic moment.
Well, where Sully Kai fails, John Aspinall scores. And he missed the first. He missed the first pan.
Yates.
Yates, yeah. Aspinall greater than Yates and Kai, I think. Right, let's go on back to the game. Let's go on to the goals. Got quite a few to get through. Jerry Yates, Sam's put us 1 up. Great flowing move, and people were saying it was quite an easy finish for Yates, but it wasn't. It was behind him as well, and it's the way he swerved and adjusted
his body. Yeah.
Talk through the goal.
I think it is Ballard who clears the ball away to danger, and it falls nicely to Dougal, I think, in the middle of the park, or a pass before that. But it's a nice play to Medine, who's just on the left side of the penalty area. Labala makes a great run just on the overlap, and again a good ball into the box that's just, I think it's behind the defenders, and Yates, which what I was talking about before, drops off a little bit to try and get onto it, and he did, and it's a nice finish. Could the keeper have done better? I'm not too sure because he's having to adjust his body, but I thought we thoroughly deserved the goal there to go 1 up.
Tim, over to you. Quick views on the goal.
I did a Smith, didn't I?
Right, Sam, have you got the picture?
It is in the brands because it's absolutely...
There we go.
Not those flattering looks, is it? Nice trainers, though.
Right. Sorry. I've broken it and I can't get anything else other than that on the screen for the entire stream. Sorry, listeners. I'm afraid you're just going to have to watch this for the next hour. For the benefit of the audio pod, that is a picture of Tim passed out on the sofa.
I was resting my eyes. I'd had a very stressful morning dealing with
potentially
residents of Singleton, and it's weird. To be honest, well, the last time I did that, I was drunk, which was, but I've never done. I haven't really had a drink. Just, I woke up quite early this morning, so I can only apologise for the fact I did see it on the replay because I was woken up very abruptly.
Don't apologise.
I was woken up very abruptly by people jumping around my living room, so I was soon back in the room.
Sam, how long was he like that for in that state?
5 to 10 minutes, I would have thought. I thought the game was entertaining myself, but others didn't, did they? But we were thinking of between the three of us, my brother and sister's boyfriend. We're just, do we surprise him and fake a goal celebration to wake him up? But luckily we didn't need to do that, and Blackpool put us ahead with Yates, and it's a great finish, as people said in the chat, and he does well to swivel onto it. And as I said, I think we deserve to be 1 up, as we caught West Brom at surprise. I think just the way we were pressing, and which we saw in the pre-season. So credit to Critchley and his tactics for that one.
Nick, Mr. Bez was heavily involved in that goal. It's a beautiful ball in.
It was fantastic, and it was a great move. I think it was Grant Ward, wasn't it, who got it out to Medine. Cheeky little pass from Medine on the overlap for Labala. Great ball across. And like you say, at first glance, you think, oh, yeah, it's an easy finish. But when you see it again, he did have to adjust, didn't he, to get his foot round it. Yep. And it'd have been very easy to perhaps be leaning back and sky that. So Yates did very, very well. And to be fair, West Brom had probably had the clearer cut chances up to there. I know we've not really covered them off, but Maxwell had to make a couple of saves. I think it was Gallagher had put one just the wrong side of the post for them. So it was nice for a change. It's normally us who doesn't take our chances in the opposition score. It was nice for it to be the other way around, and really, really slick move, and a brilliant finish from Yates.
Several viewers' comments, listeners' comments. Viewers' comments coming in there. Cliff Smith, Yates' first goal was well finished, and that was easy as it looked. Or sort of mirroring what we're saying there. Taylor Holman saying cracking play to play for Medine, which showed throughout. Yeah, that was also an element in the game. So we've gone in 1-0 up at half time, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Second half kicked off, and What time did they make their subs? I'm just trying to get the.
I think they
They
made
kind of
one at half
one at
time.
half
didn't they?
Yeah, and I think it had an immediate effect.
It was Gibbs that came off, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Fat Sam's made a change, and they looked more of a threat for me in the second half. And I wouldn't say goal was inevitable, but it looked like they had more chance of scoring than they did in the first half. And it did come on 52 minutes when Semi Ajayi heads in an equaliser from yet another set piece, Nick, which it's disappointing to see, but a decent header, but potentially could it have been avoided with the who was it who sort of spooned it out for an unnecessary corner?
Wasn't it? I think yeah, there could have been a shout. I mean, there's quite a lot of debate on our WhatsApp group about this, wasn't it? Around, I think it was a bit of a silly foul in the first place from Bez, which then leads to be fair, Maxwell should have shouted and didn't. So Turton's, what do you do if you don't get a shout from your keeper? He doesn't know that there's not somebody behind him, or if he leaves it and they score, we'd all be slating Turton for that. So he's had to try and clear it away. But we just switched off on the corner. I think it was poor marking, and there wasn't a lot of pace on the ball, but he got a lot of pace on it with his header, and Maxwell didn't really have much of a chance with it. But it's another goal from a set piece, isn't it? Which has been a bit of a feature for this season, unfortunately. And I thought we started slow second half. Particularly first 5 minutes. I don't know. We just looked a bit all over the place again, and we was wondering what the half-time team talk had been. So you'd probably say fair enough for the equaliser.
So Sam, do you remember the team talk at the last game? That wasn't particularly inspiring, was it? And not as bad as that, but not as bad, but pretty bad. Not really.
I don't know what they do. Whether they sit still in the dressing room and not keep moving. I honestly don't know. It's a bit of a mystery, isn't it? Why they come out the traps slow in the second half. But got to credit to West Brom. Obviously, a reaction. I think it was Furlong who came on at right back. Bit more of an attacking option down that side compared to Peltier. So good tactics, but yeah, there's a few things in the lead up to the goal, which I agree with Nick. I think if Turton doesn't clear, if Turton gets a shout and clears it, you're kind of having a go at him. But I don't think he does get a shout, because you would have heard it from the pitch side mics that were picking up swear words left, right, centre, weren't they? So I don't give anything against Turton there. He's gone with committed. If he's half-hearted, you spoon those in the back of the net 9 out of 10 times. So credit there, but as I said, disappointing for a set piece. But Ajayi is known for his aerial threats, and he's done the same thing against Liverpool a few weeks back when West Brom picked up a point there against the Premier League champions. So he's going to be a danger, and just the one time we didn't match him, he goes and scores.
Tim, so were you going to say something then, Nick?
Just very quickly, something we didn't cover off in the first half. Should he have been on the pitch?
Yeah.
I think if, because there's no contact, the referee's been a bit lenient with him. But I think if does Dougal take a hit there to get him sent off? I don't know. He's not that probably type of player, Dougal, is he? I think Medine leaves his leg in and gets him sent off there. But it was, at first glance, I thought it's just late here and he's just mistimed it. But the second replay from the East shows his studs up like that, and it is a horrendous tackle. But I think due to not making contact, he gets away with it for me.
To the letter of the law, you're off for that kind of tackle, and we've been on the wrong end of those sort of decisions quite a lot recently. So it's a bit annoying. And I think just generally to the room, I think we're a bit too honest for our own good at times, because there's times when Dougal can go down and Ward just to keep the ball down their end, and we're staying on our feet all the time. So I just think we need to get a bit smarter with things like this. I don't know what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, I think possibly. It'd have been interesting if it had gone to VAR. What would have happened with that tackle?
I don't really watch a lot of Premier League VAR stuff, Nick. So do those sort of things go to? Do they go to VAR? Do they?
Yeah, I think it would do. Right. I think if it's in the Premier League, they'd probably end up giving it a red, because he was studs up, and there's the intent there, isn't there? So, I think it could have well been a red for me.
Sam's putting up a few messages there from the listeners. I think they agree with us. Listeners, was it a red card? Do you all agree? Tim, just give you quick thoughts on it. What you thought?
Yeah, I think I sort of endorse what Sam says. I think any contact. I think the commentator said the same thing, didn't he? Any contact and he's off. I don't tend to watch much Premier League football these days, so I don't actually know how they're dealing with them. But I think if it'd been, I mean, we'd be disappointed if it was one of our players getting sent off for that. I mean, it was badly timed. I don't know whether he went in there. That was he went in there with intent. I just think it was the ball moved away from him a bit too quick. I wasn't shouting for a red card at the time, if I'm being honest. I thought that probably it was dealt with the right way.
I think I was the same, Tim. I was thinking, that's a bit of a nasty tackle, but I think 10, 15 years ago, it's just
get up.
It's a tackle we've all made when we've played, hasn't it? I mean, I certainly have the odd time, and it's every week. You can't do in the game these days, apparently. So that's another debate, I guess. So just reading off Maymac, Sam. Each time the Baggies scored, our heads never went down. There was a really positive energy for the whole game. So, and that's a great point because we've gone down twice in the game, and we've never stopped. And it was a really good attribute to see today. So let's just go back to the game itself.
Well, we were talking. My recollection, we're on our messaging group. We were talking about the need to make a sub, weren't we? And I think most people were saying Kemp is probably the one to make way. And while Sam said the first 5 minutes we were slow, I thought we were slow for the first 15 minutes and hardly ever got into their half. And I think the first time we do, the one that everybody was talking about maybe should make way, made a real positive contribution to it, didn't he? And Kemp comes down the right with the ball in a very, very positive way, slips it through to Yates, who just strokes it into the path of Gary goals.
But Nick, he's still got a hell of a lot to do at this stage. As Tim's alluded to there, great move. But what a finish. Cool, calm and collected, and he got no chance.
No, it didn't. And he was a fair way out, and it was just perfectly placed, wasn't it? And like you both just said, it was a great move. Similar to the goal in the first half, the interplay and the passing is becoming a real feature of this Blackpool team, and fantastic to see, and absolutely brilliant from Medine, linking up with Yates. They work so well together, and absolutely brilliant from the goal machine.
I think Sam, just as Tim's alluded to, we didn't see much of the ball for 15 minutes, but I noticed a tactical change from West Brom. They were very high pressing, weren't they? We didn't give any of our players a lot of time on the ball. And that's something that's happened quite a lot this season. We're breaking away like that, and we're creating chances and we're scoring. It's a good attribute and an option to have in our game, and it's effective.
I think you look back at the Doncaster game when Hamilton scores, you think that we can break with pace. Obviously, we didn't have that pace today, which I think if we did have, we go and win that game a bit more. Probably win it in the 90 minutes, but a great move. And that's what Kemp brings to this team. I think people slate him, and sometimes he's not involved in the game for 3/4 of it, but he can have those moments where he can come in off that right flank and have an impact. As Steve says there, he probably doesn't get the assist officially due to Yates getting a toe to the pass to Medine, but Medine does so well. I'm shouting at him to take it closer to the goal, but give credit to him. He's full of confidence, and I think he's, as Tom said on a few chats, that he's probably becoming a bit of more of a fan's favourite at the moment because his work rate and the goals he does scores, and the penalty, which we'll come to later on, no messing, and a well taken finish. And I think it catches the keeper off guard a little bit as well, not expecting him to go the opposite side in case he parries it. So a top finish and a great move. I
was just thinking of going about to say the same thing, to be honest. I think the fact that he took it early was what caught the keepers unawares. Interesting. Also that was at the north end. And I sort of said on the chat, imagine if we were all there and how it would go. And somebody came back and said pitch invasion and a fine.
It would have been,
which was quite funny.
But do you know what? We'll take the fine.
Yeah, it was one of those days you just wish you were. Again, we've said it a couple of times, haven't we? Like with the whole game as well, and it makes you really realise what you're missing, because that would have been electric, that atmosphere today.
Let's just rewind, gentlemen. Just noticed on the BFC Twitter feed, 63 minutes, great opportunity for Yates. However, he's unable to collect after a fantastic ball in from Ollie Turton. Who wants to talk about that?
Is that the one where the kind of cross from? Is it the cross from Turton? Did you say?
It's a great.
Is that later on in the game? If it's that one, we're on about. Yeah, again,
It's just before we scored.
I thought it was a bit later in the game, personally, but yeah, a great ball in the box from Turton. You don't expect that from him, really. More defensive, and I'm going to be on Yates' side. I don't think he's expecting the defender to duck out or miss the header, so his body's not in the right position, really. But a great move, and like you said, can't look back at those moments now. We're through to the next round, but a good enough chance. I think if he's alert, maybe it makes the keeper work, but like I said, half decent for me.
Can't looking back in anger, can you, Nick? Do you think Jerry Yates will be looking back in anger at that chance?
Not now we've got through. He would have done if we'd have got knocked out, particularly with him missing a pen. But yeah, I suppose you could say you should always anticipate it, but you were probably expecting the defender to get something on it. But what a ball from Turton! You know, he does get a lot of stick, and I think there's some fans who've made their mind up that he's not good enough and can do no right. But that was fantastic. That was probably the ball of the game. You know, it was absolutely brilliant pace on it, and I think it just came off his thigh, didn't it, or his knee? Yeah, but brilliant from Turton, and you know, I think he did all right for me today.
He's growing on me a lot, you know, Ollie Turton. I never used to rate him. I think Tim, we're the same, aren't we? We're both a bit critical of him, and he's really growing into that position for me. And he's one of the first names on the team sheet for me now.
He's dependable. I mean, I think you do lose a little bit on the attacking side when he plays, but I think what he does bring to the side is a dependability that can't be underestimated as to how important it is. So I think you're right. I think he's you know, unless we're playing at perhaps a slightly weaker team where we really want to go at them, I think he must be up there as one of the first two or three that get the names on the sheet. So, and he had a good solid game again today, but that cross was something else. I mean, that's probably one of the best crosses I can recall him ever putting in. And I think that's probably why Yates wasn't quite ready for it.
So it was Turton. I won't bother making it run.
You might be giving him some stick in the change rooms. Light-natured, I'm sure. I'm sure it wouldn't have been if we'd have got beat anyway. 75 minutes, we made a substitution. Kai for Labala. To the room, was this the correct move to make, substitution-wise?
Yeah, I think he was tiring a bit. I think he worked hard, Labala. You could just see, I think, just before that, he was struggling to his work rate coming back, but I thought he had a good performance today and maybe silenced a few critics on the message boards and WhatsApp groups that we have. But I'm glad he got his chance today, as I said earlier in the pod, just to prove himself and go out there much improved. And hopefully gives another chance, because even when he was defending it, he seemed to get his body in the way and find that simple ball where sometimes he tries to overcomplicate a move or a pass. So to me, he had a good game and the right move, I think, just to bring some fresh legs on. And Kai was kind of that player who brought a little bit more energy to the team when he came on.
Gentlemen, anything to add to that?
I think at the time I would, and I think probably what saved Kemp from being the first to go was his contribution to Medin's goal, where I think otherwise he might have been the first one to make way. And when I saw Kai come on for Labala, I wasn't sure, but I actually do think Kai showed us a more positive performance particularly in the remaining part of that second half, where he was taking the game to them a bit and looked quite strong, I thought. So having seen how it played out, yes, I would say it was the right move.
Nick, Steve Hutchin agrees with you. Kai played better than he's done recently. Please, for him, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I thought he did well when he came on. And just going back.
Well, he's dropped off.
Unless you press the wrong button by accident.
No.
I'll try and finish what he was.
From the stream, he's gone.
With a comment there, I think, yeah, he played better. And sometimes when you have a disappointing game like he did against Shrewsbury, that you do need that time off to maybe reflect on yourself personally to come into a game and prove himself. And he did that at a few shots from distance. Unfortunately, he missed the penalty. It would have seen us through earlier than we did go through. But I'll let Nick finish off what he was going to say.
Yeah, I don't know
Put
what
another
happened there.
50p in the meter.
Disappeared. I know.
Put another 50p in the meter.
Yeah, so I thought, Labala, it was good that he got an assist. I thought it was probably the right substitution to make at that time. He was tiring a bit, and Kai, just gave us a bit more impetus going forward. I thought he did well when he came on because he has been quiet and the last, few times he's played. But I thought he did really well when he came on.
That's from a West Brom fan, James Bradley, West Brom fan here. Well played, lads. Fully deserved. Thank you. Thank you for that, James. Very magnanimous. I can't even say it. What's the word, Tim? Come on.
Sporting.
Okay, yeah, sporting.
Magnanimous.
Yeah, I was just about to say you've lost your wordsmith title, but you've pulled it back from the dead. But Ashpan Hanif says West Brom suck.
They weren't great, were they? You can see why they've only won 2 games. It's not a good football to watch, is it? Especially under Big Sam. So we don't know what's happened with Nick again. But yeah, if I was a West Brom fan, I'd be really worried. I'd be worried before the game today, but especially worried after that performance.
How much gum does Allardyce go through in a game? It's just
so funny on the camera, the actual TV camera work on when I think the commentator said how many chewing gums he threw. That is his second packet today, and it just slow panned into him, just chewing and like Jabba the Hutt, didn't he? I think my dad called him at one point.
He was doing a slow-mo of him spitting a piece out, but he wasn't doing that on 80 minutes when they got a very contentious penalty, Tim. Now, the vote was split, wasn't it, on the WhatsApp group with that? So the majority were saying it's not a pen. It was a funny one, wasn't it? You've seen them given, you've seen them not given, but they always seem to go against us.
Yeah, I think it's a pen. Unfortunately, I'm not. There's no criticism of Turton. I don't think he could have done a great deal about it. But when your arms, I know we were talking about whether it's a natural position or an unnatural position, and the reality is that when you're moving about, your arms aren't by your side; they're up. But when they're up and the ball hits your hand, there's only ever going to be one decision for me, and particularly the way the rules are designed at the moment. And I think it'd been the other way around. The way I look at it is, if that was them who handballed in the area at that stage in the game, what would we be saying if we didn't get the penalty? We'd be going absolutely, excuse the vernacular, apeshit, wouldn't we? We would. We'd be going mental. And on that basis, it's a pen. Because we would have expected to get it the other way around, and it was. It was in the area. He couldn't do a lot about it, but it had an impact on where that ball was going, and it struck. It wasn't even up his arm, was it? It was right on his hand. So for me, definitely.
I think sorry. I was going to come in and read the comment here. They're saying Allardyce thought it was harsh, but from his angle, where he's in the technical area, he wouldn't have seen the arms out, I think, as much. And in this day and age, unfortunately, we've seen some ridiculous, I think, worse ones. I think the PSG United game a year or two ago back that was given even harsher than that. So I just think that the reason the referee's given it is just due to the way the ball's travelling. And if you are stopping it and making his body bigger by your hands being there and it touching, for me, it was a penalty. But it was only that second angle where I thought it was a definite pen. I was one who shouted it was harsh, but in this day and age, it was. But Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, having had time to think about it, probably similar. I do think it's this natural and unnatural position thing, isn't it? It's like Tim says, when you're running, your arms are out. It's harder to. I always think it looks weird when the players are like pulling the hands down to the side because they're so conscious of it not wanting to clip them anywhere and give a pen away. By the letter of the law, it probably is. He was quite close to him, so it is difficult when someone whacks a ball at you from that distance.
Yard away, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yard away.
To get out of the way.
Yeah,
I know, which is why I think it's a bit of a silly.
I think it's
rule,
harsh, but for me, it's a pen nailed on.
Yeah, I think it's the other way around. Like you say, we'd all be screaming, wouldn't we?
But it's hand to ball, though, isn't it? Not ball to hand. So it's all in interpretations. You see him given, you see him not given. Then unfortunately, it's gone against us. But as was it AMAC said in the comments before, our heads never went down.
Yeah,
in this game, and we've come on, Tim. We've brought on Matty Virtue, one of your favourite players, on 82 minutes. Dan Kemp, right substitution for me. This, and he's almost made an instant impact. Scored, but it was offside. But Matty Virtue looked a threat when he came on, driving forward.
Yeah, the one criticism that you would have of the Dougal-Ward partnership is that neither of them are naturally an attacking midfield player. They're both
shoot.
No, they're both great at doing the little triangles, winning the ball, getting out to wide players. But what we do need in most games for me is that midfield player who drives on. You know, we had it with Virtue and mixing it up with Dewsbury Hall last year. You know, we've had it in that. You know, we've always had a player like that in the past, haven't we? Be it Charlie, be it Paul Groves, be it whoever. You know, Mickey Mellon in his day, and that I think part of the problem we've got with the 4-4-2 without him in it is that we get enough chances off? You know, do we get enough shots off, particularly from if the forwards are very tightly marked? And Virtue does that for you. Virtue is a 10-goal a season midfielder if he's playing the whole season. And he might even get up a little bit higher than that, but I would say roughly around that 10-goal a season mark. And neither Dougal or Ward are ever going to do that for you. So that creates a conundrum for Critchley. And for me, I think Virtue's, you know, he's got to edge back into the season, but I think he's going to be a very important player for us in the second half because he's showing that where his abilities lie, and you can immediately see a difference when he comes on in the way we play. Now, how Critchley works round that Ward, Dougal, Virtue conundrum is going to be interesting to see, because I think, you know, again, Ward had a great game today. So, you know, I wonder sometimes whether there's another formation that we need to look at. But when we keep winning with 4-4-2, it's very difficult to move away from that. I have spoken about, you know, the three. You know, we've got three great centre backs. Whether you play a 3-5-2, and then I think in a 3-5-2 you might be able to accommodate Dougal, Ward, and Virtue as well. And if you're looking to put your best players on the pitch and two strikers, the problem is that doesn't really suit CJ. So that's. But there may be different formations for different games, as long as it's not the 4-3-3 where we end up not shooting.
Could play him as a wing back.
I think he can play in that kind of three midfielders. You've got your two holding players, and Virtue's that. I'm not comparing to Charlie, but someone who's going to break forward and have shots like he did today. He put the ball in the back of the net, but Yates was a yard offside. So potentially that's maybe where he wants to see things going forward, does Critchley, because at the end of the day, he will want to play that Liverpool style of play, 4-3-3 way. And for me, Virtue's in the top of that triangle in midfield as it stands, with Hamilton on the right, someone on the left, and someone up top. So it's tricky, but we keep winning, as we said, with this formation, and we've got to keep going until it doesn't start working.
3-5-2. I like the sound of this.
You got CJ at right back and Garb at left back.
Yeah,
left wing backs, left and right wing backs. I mean, how as an attacking formation, and then you've got Yates and Medine and/or whoever else. If we do bring him in the January, I think it will be a striker. And then you have that midfield of Ward, Virtue, and Dougal. I think there's definitely games where that should be looked at.
What was that comment? It just disappeared. From Steve BFC 55. Good to see more shots from outside the box today. And that changed instantly, didn't it, when Virtue came on?
It did. He was shooting every time he got a chance, wasn't he? And like Tim says, I like Ward and Dougal in the middle. I think they complement each other very, very well. But they're not going to do what Virtue does. So he certainly brings something. And yeah, the 3-5-2, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I certainly think it's something we could adopt in some games, as a difference in the 4-4-2, because 4-3-3 doesn't work for us. So it's a nice conundrum for him to have.
Conundrum, that's a good word. It's a Tim-esque word. That. Yeah, the listeners seem to agree. Jeff H, 3-5-2, Tim would agree with that. Michael Haig says, I think the 3-5-2 system would work well. Mark Chamberlain, perhaps agree with the 5-3-2. Pack the midfield works against Portsmouth. Don't seem to create as many chances, though, did we, in that game? But yeah, an interesting conundrum nonetheless. Sam, go on.
I think you've got the balance in there as well. As we said, you've got the attacking players on the wings, but they've also got the pace to track back. We've seen CJ do it a number of times, work his socks off to get back, and Garbett can do the same thing. And we saw his attacking threats against Bristol Rovers. Obviously, a few crosses didn't meet the standards, which we alluded to in the other pod, but I don't see why it couldn't work, but it's something you've got to have the personnel to do it, and maybe it's something down the line that we see, because you've got 3 defenders there and a midfielder who can sit in and make it 4, that if you do get counted on, you've not got just 2 centre-halves there. So I'm sure, like many times we've said on this pod, if Critchley's listening or someone in these coaching staff, it'll happen in the next 2 weeks.
Bound to happen, Sam. Bound to happen. Right, let's move on.
I'm getting my sheepskin out if that happens. I'll get in that ground one way or another.
I've said to Sam, I want to carry his camera box if he gets back in. And I'll be prepared to carry the bucket with the magic sponge into use then as well. Right, extra time. We started very strong in extra time, created some very good chances, and if there was anyone who's going to go on and win the game, it was us. Two chances, Kai's floated ball in, and when Medine was slipped in, but a great save by Button.
Yeah, it was, and it was pleasing to see us, because obviously the players were tiring by that point, but they didn't let the heads drop. They kept going, and it looked like there was only one team wanting to win it at that point. We were on the front foot, a couple of good chances. That ball from Kai was a great one. It just kind of, they just couldn't quite get to it, could they? Had great pace on it. And it was really pleasing to see, because I think it's probably quite easy at that point to feel like, we've put all this effort in and we've not won in 90 minutes, but they kept going, and, credit to all the players for the way they kept going.
So when we were creating all these chances, Tim and Sam, I thought we're going to lose this, because that always seems to happen, doesn't it? Like Nick's just said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether have you got Maxwell coming up on your, but at some point wasn't there absolutely fantastic save by Maxwell with his fingertips that from I can't remember, the shot came in from the left hand side, if I remember rightly, and
that was the second half of extra time, I think.
Oh, was it right? I didn't know whether it was coming up. I couldn't exactly remember what it was, but there's always again the day. I know they played a lot of the second string today, but there's still some good players out there, and you're always concerned, aren't you, that they're going to just nick it? It's a typical Sam Allardyce team. Going back, when he's played against us in the past. I think he was at Blackburn, wasn't he, when they used to nick points in the last minute, having played crap, and and you thought
Bloomfield Road first season in the Premier League, they did exactly that. Premier League against us.
And
it's not a celebration like that, like a gay cowboy. I remember on this pod, Nick described him as a gay cowboy.
Just thinking of him doing that.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. So you could see you're always concerned, because at the end of the day, as Blackpool fans, we're used to being disappointed, aren't we? And that was always the concern. And I think Maxwell's save, I know Sam and I spoke about it at the time, and I think Sam thought it was a little bit more run of the mill, didn't you? First of all, until you saw the replay, and you realize what a great save that was, and that could have been the winner for them. But I thought we were the better team in extra time. I thought we took the game to them. We showed positivity. As he said, Kai did some good stuff. And interesting, the two guys up front, our deadly duo. They kept going, didn't they? And they looked fit, which is good to see. They both looked like they had the whole of that extra time in them, and very, very pleasing.
What Cliff's just said, Tim.
Yeah. I think they did. I think which is so if you've got Premier League team, they've got all the facilities in the world, haven't they? And if we're going toe to toe to them for 120 minutes, then every credit to Blackpool.
I think I said before that we'll struggle here with just the fitness and not swapping Medine or Yates. So again, echo what Tim said there. It's fantastic to see the hard work that players are putting in for the cause, and like I said, they never gave up, even when they well, West Brom scored 2 to bring it back. So credit to the group, and I'm sure they'll have a well-deserved break tomorrow and back to it ahead of the next game. I think I can't remember playing now. It's poor from me, but Hull. So yeah, they've done themselves so proud tonight, and obviously the fans as well. So a well-deserved rest, and they'll be on the bikes, won't they, as we see, doing the recovery, I think, on Monday.
On the bikes. Right, let's talk about the penalties then quickly. Nick, as Jeremy Yates stepped up, how did you feel? I was confident.
I was, because he does well at penalties. Their keeper was doing a bit of a Bruce Grabble, wasn't he? Waving his arms about and stuff and running up and down his line. But excuse me, Bob Fleming.
That's got it.
Joking. Getting choked up just talking about it. But I was thinking penalties, Blackpool, this will be typical. We won't get through. And when Yates missed, I thought, here we go. I really did. I was thinking I can't see us getting through.
So just to the room now on the WhatsApp group, we were all pretty negative, weren't we, in the build up to the penalties? Jeff was saying we should have kept Walker for this. Maxwell's too small to save pens. Jeff Embry, if you're listening, ye of little faith, eh?
I've got to say as well, Yates's penalty actually wasn't a bad one. I think it was a fantastic save from their keeper. I know he was doing the clown bit along the line, and he held off, didn't he, actually going onto the line, which obviously left Yates hanging around perhaps longer than he would ideally want. But it was a well-struck penalty and a fantastic save. So, but yeah, it didn't look good, did it, at that point? And I wasn't confident that Maxwell would. I don't think it's very rare that there's been a Blackpool keeper that's won a penalty shootout. Perhaps going right back, Makalagi did once. But I know when we played at Fleetwood, I thought Sims was a little bit like Shilton was in the 1990 World Cup, and just we're too nice and stand on the line and don't move. But Maxwell was moving quick, wasn't he? There's no VAR, and the officials weren't really doing anything, because I think their guy moved on Yates's. But I think Maxwell moved on at least a couple of theirs, but they were getting away with it. If you get away with it, that's how you save penalties. You don't save penalties by standing on your line until the ball's been struck.
So Camille Grzycki, he scored with a standard penalty, decent strike into the corner, and Kennedy will up next for the seaside. What a penalty!
Tick a bow, son.
It was like Michael Owen, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, best keeper in the world's not saving that.
No, it was again. He's postage stamping it in terms of the way he can put it. Like I said, no keeper saving that, and that just gave me a little bit more confidence going into this that maybe it is our day and on our time to win a penalty shootout and knock a team out in the Premier League for the first time since 1970s. So
who was the team, by the way? Who was the team?
We couldn't figure it out, could we?
There's a viewer, 1976. Who was the team? Who was the team that we beat? The
Ipswich.
Someone stick it in the comments.
Ipswich. No, that was 78 Ipswich.
I'm not asking you, Tim. I'm asking you.
Well, I don't know either.
That's why I'm asking you.
But just going back to Kenny Dougal's penalty, what confidence though to put it where he did, because if he misses that, we failed to score our first two, and
we're out, Nick. Then aren't we? We're out.
Pretty much, it's game over. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Fantastic confidence that he should shoot more often.
Yeah. So our first save, Maxwell's denied Kyle Edwards. Now a lot of their saves were similar. They weren't the best of penalties, and a majority had just gone down to his right and textbook save.
Me and you were having a bit of a chat, weren't we, in our WhatsApp group, just saying Yates' penalty was soft, but for me it was in the corners, we've said, and these had the power, but they weren't anywhere directed in the corner away from Maxwell, and I expect any keeper really to save them when they're just to the side of him. But yeah, there were 3 really poor penalties from them, and Maxwell, to be fair to him, you've got to go the right way and have a firm hand and wrist to make sure it doesn't go in the back of the net. So Maxwell, the penalty hero this evening.
James Husband scored for us, decent pen in the bottom corner. Maxwell then saved again from Donnell Furlong. And Gary Medine, Tim, as Sam's just mentioned, you've got to power it in. And Medine smashed it down the middle, but with too much on it, even though the keeper's almost got a hand to it.
I think if the keeper had been right behind that ball, the keeper would have hit the back of the net along with the ball, wouldn't he?
Like you see in cartoons.
Oh yeah, been like splattered like that. That had some power, didn't it? And he just wasn't. And what I actually quite liked was the camera panned. Obviously, we're used to watching iFollow, which is like awful camera angles, isn't it? But the good thing is when you've got BT, they keep going to the dugouts and things like that. And it went to Critchley. Critchley was, clearly thought, get in there with that one. And it was good to see him a little bit more animated than we perhaps normally see him. And that's just what you want from Medine. And I've forgotten if it was somebody on here or there's one of us talking, just said, Medine's almost becoming a bit of a cult hero, isn't he? And it's things like that make him what he is. And long may it continue.
Gary Medine, goal machine. So Jake Lovemore, he's pulled one back for visitors. And all Sully Kai has to do, Nick, is stroll up and just stroke it in. And he's hit the post. And he's hit the post on the wrong side as well, hasn't it? It's not one where it's unfortunate and gone along the line. It was a poor penalty.
I think he scuffed it a bit, didn't it? Didn't seem to be clean contact. And I actually thought at that point it was going to... I forgot they had another. I thought it was going to sudden death at that point.
I
so
did.
I was
exactly the same.
Swearing at the telly because Faye had come downstairs going, why is it still going on? And I was like, sure, he's penalties, wait a minute. And couldn't believe he'd missed it and thought, oh, sudden death. And then realised that... And then what I'd done is I'd chucked my phone across the room, not in anger, just because I think some people's stream was probably about 30 seconds ahead of mine. So my phone kept going off, and I thought, I don't want to know what's going on. So when he missed it, I thought, sudden death. But they had theirs, and thankfully, Maxwell did what he does best and saved another.
Saved from Pereira. And Tim, I was the same. I was like, oh yes, we've saved one, but we've still now got to score another to win. I was like,
yeah, I'd said,
yes, but not celebrating we've won.
I'd put on the message thing two match points, hadn't I? And we actually had 3, and I wasn't thinking.
Why have we all thought the same? It's weird.
I know, yeah. So so we went from despondency to ecstasy in a matter of seconds, didn't we? Because I thought that's I think the commentator said the same, didn't he? A good commentator today, I thought as well. He was really well informed, and he'd said, that you don't get chance, that was your chance, and are they going to regret that? And I thought we were going to regret it. And then, to be fair, it was again not run of the mill, but not the most difficult of saves for Maxwell to make, and Q dancing around the living room throughout the foul coast, I suspect. So
I was throwing my son up into the air, chanting Seasiders. Were you doing the same with yours, Tim?
Mine's a bit big to do that with these days.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it wasn't like this for the penalties.
Behave.
Yeah, as Mr. Bowley said, this adding up to 5 lot can be tricky.
Yeah, it's not a great advert for the show, is it? Between the 4 of us, we can't add up to 5.
Oh dear. Right. So that was the game itself. Pure elation, pure joy as it happened. So let's just go and review the team. Player ratings. So let's start with. I think this is going to be. Who wants to take the goalie? Who wants to take Chris Maxwell? Sam, let's start with you.
We'll do it. We'll do it in order.
You've got a Fleetwood relation to him, haven't you? Fleetwood connection.
I never actually saw him play during when he was at Fleetwood. I think I joined the summer afterwards. But great things, obviously, told about him. Gone to Preston, I think, and played. Not got much game time, but he's having seen him play at the Fleetwood Blackpool game. I realised what an influence is to the team, and that was shown today. How important he is, just his leadership and how he talks to players and brings them up. So for me, obviously, due to his penalty saves and winning, you've got to give him. Is it a 10? Yeah,
I don't know. It's a 10. I think
no.
It's got to be something unbelievable for a 10, isn't it? I think if we're going to keep it real.
I was thinking 9. I saw Mark's comment in the chat. I think his saving the extra time low down to his right is superb, and I don't think he can do too much about the goals either. So for me, I think it's a 9, a solid performance.
It's That's as good as you're almost going to get. Tim, Ollie Turton.
Yeah, I thought again. I think we spoke a bit during the early chat, didn't we? Solid game. I think he had to make that clearance when it was coming in because with Maxwell not calling it. Great ball in. I'm going to go. It's a good 8. Good 8, Ollie.
Nick, Dan Ballard.
I think I'd echo Tim's score. I think for Turton. I think it's an 8 for Ballard as well. He always does well when he plays, doesn't he? He's solid. Did he go off with a knock or anything?
Oh, yeah, it would be interesting to find out what was the reasoning there. He went off at 90 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah, hopefully it's nothing too serious, particularly with what's happened with Gretison by the look of it. So, yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
The Vikings,
8 out of 10 again. I thought the two centre halves dealt with a lot of things today. Just that one moment where Jai just beats, I'm not sure who that actually was it Medine or someone to score their first equaliser, but yeah, 8 for me.
Husband back into the team. Tim, good solid performance for me.
Yeah, I think so. He got down the left a bit. Obviously, he's not as attacking as Garbutt is. But I thought he was solid. I like the way I think he was quite relieved he scored his penalty as well, wasn't he? I think he probably had the biggest smile on his face of all the players who came back after taking theirs. So yeah, I think it's another solid 8. I think the back 4 today did the job. They weren't under the same amount of pressure as we've perhaps seen in some games. But they all acquitted themselves very well, I thought, and he was very much part of that.
I'll just echo that. The fact that they're a Premier League side, I think you tend to. I forgetted it quite a few times in the game, and we just made them look ordinary. There wasn't the golfing class anyway. Right, Nick, Kenny Dougal.
Solid performance. Probably not his best performance for us, but he didn't do a lot wrong. I think him and Ward, they keep it ticking over in midfield. They play it simple. Do I go 7? You
want to do 7+, don't you? Or
I think 7's harsh.
Maybe 7's harsh. Yeah, maybe 8. I thought Ward was the better of the two, but yeah, 8.
And you've got the man himself, Sam Grant Ward, tidy, industrious, and effective as ever.
Some people will say probably 9 in the chat, but I'm going to go for an 8 as well. Again, he didn't do anything outstanding to make you stand up a bit like Maxwell, in my opinion, if you're comparing Maxwell's performance. But I thought his work rate and to even be shoved out on the right for, what was it, half an hour, 40 minutes to do a job there, despite being in midfield and running that as well. So I think if you're giving Dougal an 8, you've got to give Ward an 8 as well.
He's a Vaughan, isn't he?
He was involved in both the goals as well, Ward, wasn't he?
Yep. He's a
I'm
Vaughan
not sure about the
player,
first one, but yeah, he's grown on me as a player that I thought, what does he actually give to this team at the start of the season? And I'll hold my hands up. He's proven me wrong, so it's a big credit to Ward. Just solid 8. I don't think he stood out in terms of what he did. But
he's probably an 8+ to Dougal's 8-, isn't he today?
Yes, Mr. Fielding.
I should have been a teacher, shouldn't I? All the mark.
What time do you call there? See me after school.
8-.
Dan Kemp, Tim.
Yeah, decent game. I'm gonna go with 7. I like the way he played today. He wasn't exceptional. I don't think he's up with the ones who've got 8s and 9s. Great involvement in the second goal for us. And he looked busy. And it's good. There's not a criticism with the 7 by any stretch of the imagination. I think the reason I discouraged Sam to make a 10, I think we've got to keep the 10s back for something that is out of this world, because otherwise it loses its significance. And 7, it's a good 7, Daniel. Great performance, and that's what we want to see from him. So I'm quite happy with the way he played today.
Besnick, this should be interesting. I thought it was all right. I thought he made a difference.
Yeah. Obviously, great ball across for the first goal. He put a shift in. I think Sam had mentioned earlier, there's sometimes when maybe his decision making, he just held onto the ball for a bit too long, maybe on two occasions in the first half. But I think there's something there to build on. It'll have built his confidence up, having the being involved in the goal with the assist. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Right, over to Sam. I've got to find the Gary Medine graphic. There it is. Gary Medine, goal machine, Sam. One of his best performances in a tangerine shirt for me.
Yeah, again, I think his hold-up play was superb today, especially against Ajayi, who obviously Allardyce has put in that central or defensive midfielder role to really counter his aerial threat. And it, like people said in the chat, he won every header, I think, in the first half. So I think I'm actually torn between an 8 or a 9, but I think he was effective. And for him to carry on throughout the game and the penalty and his reaction there, I'm going to give him a 9 for his performance today.
Hard to argue with that. Tim, just to close the section off, Jerry Yates.
Yeah, I thought Jerry had a good game today. Not as if maybe not quite as headline grabbing as Medine, but he scored a good goal. He put himself about. That partnership is the way forward for us, isn't it? Up there, as long as both are fit, for me they should play. And I think it's a good 8 from Jerry for me. So really, really pleased with that performance from him, because a couple of games he's looked. Particularly that they, I'm trying to which who it was now, whether it was Bristol Rovers or Shrewsbury over Christmas, they all mingled into one. But he looked a little bit out of it, and I thought he was very much involved today, and you could see the partnership, maybe not completely at its best, but right up there. That's one of their best duo performances this season. So an 8.
We don't normally rate the subs, but I think maybe we should in this, because obviously we've had the extra time. So Nick, let's bring. You can do Matty Virtue, I think.
I thought he did well. He was willing to shoot pretty much every time he got the ball. Didn't always come off. He skied one, couple went wide, but I'm not going to pull him up for that, because you don't shoot, you don't score, do you? So I thought he brought something different when he came on. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. I'm always a proponent that I'll never knock players for shooting. Like Nick's just said, if you don't shoot, you don't score. Who was the other subs then? Just trying to rack my brains. Ethan Robson, 5 minutes. Did he do much? Mitchell, he was very good when he came on. I thought he made a good account of himself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had to reorganise ourselves a bit, didn't we? Because to lose 2 centre halves to injury in a game is very unfortunate, and so we had to rejig things. And I thought he did okay. It's a good 7, I think. And again, that's not a negative score by any stretch of the imagination. I think he came in, did his job, and brought a little bit. We played in a very positive way. Because sometimes you get important players for you going off like that, then you might be thinking, let's go defensive to try and hold on to what we've got, but we didn't. We went out. During the extra time, we went out to win the game, and he very much played a part in that.
He did. All right, let's move on to our man of the match awards. Just before we do this, you can see a little ticker going down there. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please do that now if you're watching this on YouTube. Want to get our numbers up. Want to hit that magic 500 figure, don't we? This is better than the radio. Hit the notification bell as well. Helps. There's something on mobile, doesn't it, Sam? It makes you.
It just pops up stream, so when we go live, it pops up automatically on your phone, so you can be there with a click of a button.
So do that now, listeners. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notification. Right, man of the match, Nick. Let's hear your notification.
Well, I think I know you can't have 2, but it was almost, I think, up to the end of the game, I'd have said Ward. But I think when your keeper saves 3 penalties, even if they weren't brilliantly struck penalties, I've got to give it Maxwell.
It's going to be pretty tough, isn't it? It'll be very tough. Sam, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think you've got to go for ultimately the person who sends you through to the next round of the FA Cup. So for me, it's Maxwell as well.
Tim?
I'm going to buck the trend, and I'm going to go with Medine. I thought Medine led the line well today in the first half, scored a fantastic goal, smashed his penalty, and just epitomised what we're all about today. And he and Matt, and you listen, that I'm not taking anything away from Maxwell, because Maxwell made a great save during the extra time, as I said before, which kept us in it. And then if any keeper makes 3 penalty saves, that's superb. However hard or easy the shots are, but Medine for me, he's gone up a notch in my expectations today, and great performance. That's just what you want from your centre forward.
Yeah, I think I'd have agreed with you, Tim. It'd have been Medine had the penalty shootout not happened. A very close toss up between him and Ward. I thought they were both excellent, and Maxwell's won us the game, hasn't he, in extra time and the penalty shootout. So you can't really look beyond anyone of them. But overall, a fantastic performance just generally. And like we've mentioned, we've not looked outclassed, have we, at all? Against, let's not forget, these are Premier League players.
Yeah, I think
next
round. I think we played better against teams who want to play quick. I think when we play likes of Shrewsbury and Bristol Rovers, they're slow and I think we sink to their level at times. But today, I think playing against a Premier League opposition, whether they're going to be there next season, have to wait and see. But I just thought that we looked so much better today against a team higher up, and we've shown that against Peterborough and Portsmouth how well we can play. But going into the next round, it's a tricky one, really, because do you want a big cup tie to bring your money and TV? It's with a club, especially league clubs at this moment, but I'll take Chorley, have a bit of a local derby and try and get through to the next round.
They've beaten 2 league teams, haven't they? They beat Derby.
Yeah. Derby today, but there's under 18, so it depends what you take from that. Okay. But they've still beaten Peterborough and Wigan as well. So they're a good team, but I'd fancy our chances against them.
Well, apparently, Arthur's put on the chat, Tim, it was 1976. We beat Burnley, who were top 5 at the time.
I think it was that year that they came down from the first division into the second. Actually, that was their last year, 76. So, it was lost on me, that one, I've got to say. Just before my time.
Nick, who do you fancy in the next round?
Just probably whoever gives us the best chance of getting through, because with not being able to be there, it's kind of, if you get a massive team, I'd feel a bit disappointed because you're not going to be there to experience it. It's good to watch it on TV on a stream, but it's not the same. So I've not seen all of the results yet from today, and there's a few games tomorrow, isn't there? So, like Chris Walker just said, the easiest team possible. And I think I read somewhere that the draw on Monday, they're doing the draw for the next 2 rounds?
That's right.
Yeah, which is a new one. But it's just nice to be in the hat, isn't it? So, yeah.
Isaac Solly said, let's not forget the draw on Monday, and it's a double draw. We'll see if we get into the next round after. So the 2 crappiest teams possible.
I think that's quite a good way of doing it in some respects, because it's quite a nice thing. Oh, if we win this one, we get this one. And I just want to, I want to be greedy, and I want us to see us get into the 5th round and maybe the 6th round. We're going to be very disappointed if we do get a decent team, or if we get a long way and aren't able to go. But let's just make the most of this cup. I'm sick of what we had. One thing I used to hate under Holloway was the fact that he just surrendered in the cup and basically didn't care about it. It was all about the league. As a lower division football fan, you want your team to do as well as they can in the cup competitions. And the irony is, success breeds success, doesn't it? So you're successful in the cups. How many times have we seen like Brentford and whoever it might be have a decent cup run, and that then transfers itself into their league form? So for me, the games are coming thick and fast, but it's a weird season. Let's just keep playing, keep winning, and who knows where we're going to end up, either in the cup or, more importantly, in the league.
Winning breeds success, and we never have cup runs, do we? I think the furthest we've ever got is the 5th round in my lifetime, anyway, against QPR. When Owen jacked the prices up, who remembers that?
Yeah, he got some stick for that, didn't he?
Did. Up the prices. Up the pool, not the prices. Someone put a banner on the pallet. Remember that? Right, gents. I think we'll leave it there. Just next up, we've got Hull away next Saturday. We haven't got a midweek game, have we? Just trying to think. No, we haven't. No midweek game. So we'll be coming next Friday. I know you're away, Sam, so we'll have to try and get someone to step into your shoes for the Friday night preview. As I've said earlier, just do like and subscribe this, everybody, please. If you're on YouTube, just do that now so you don't forget. And I think that's it. Thanks for joining us. It's been a really, really good show this evening. Plenty of chat. Thanks everyone in the chat, and we'll see you all next Saturday. Any closing thoughts from anyone just before we go?
I think the one thing I would say is great to see so many people on the chat and so many people who've joined us tonight. A few new names in there, so it's really good to have the interaction. Going to be hopefully in future weeks, a few more come on the show as well and have get a bit more involved with us. So just think about that, guys. We'll we feed off what you what you tell us and what you. The observations all the time we're talking, we're looking at the comments down the side, so keep them coming.
Completely mirror that. Thanks everybody for your comments. It makes the show loads better because we can just bring in other little snippets and comments, and it brings all other ideas into the show. So thanks a lot, everybody. Right, so we'll see you next weekend, ladies and gents. So thanks, Nick. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, as always. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for all the stats and the actual real football knowledge.
My pleasure.
And thanks, Tim, for that photo. That was the highlight of my 2021, and I think it may run throughout the year, that.
All I can say is, Wembley! Wembley!
We're the famous
Blackpool FC, and we're going to Wembley.
Probably get knocked out next round. Right, anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. And all remains to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading, and up the pool. Come on, the pool.
With a great tradition.